He always taught love. He always said that God is love.
If we were betting on somebody most likely not to succeed, it probably would have been George.
This morning, we are remembering the life and legacy of a Houston legend. George Foreman was a professional boxer, a humanitarian, a minister, and a philanthropist.
Yeah, and above all, he was a dedicated family man, using his success to support his extensive family here in Houston. We have team coverage this morning ahead of today's public memorial service for George Foreman. Our Jacob Rascone and Luis Ortiz and Julissa Garza are live to introduce us to the man who became a legend. We start our coverage, though, this morning with Jacob and Luis.
And Jacob, you spent time with some family members after he passed.
Yes, Steph, you know, one of our favorite things about George Foreman is that he never got too big for his hometown. In fact, Luis, as we were talking, he never really left his hometown. No matter what he was doing in his fighting, in his business, and his preaching, he was always visiting. And just before we were talking, I was watching some of his top 10 knockouts, you know, just to remember just how strong and how powerful he was as a fighter.
Listen, George Foreman was a guy that he was known as Big George for a reason, right? I mean, a guy that really had exciting fights, and sports fans really that followed boxing. When we were talking, back then was the pinnacle of boxing, when the heavyweight division was ruling the sweet science, right? And I mean, listen,
everybody tuned in.
Exactly. You're talking about guys like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, right? Mike Tyson. George Foreman is one of those guys that people remember. In 1973, you talk about knockouts. He knocked out Joe Frazier in the second round to become a world champion for the first time, because he did it twice in his career, and that was a great fight right there.
Oh man, we've got much more coming up with Luis, the expert. We also want to bring in Julissa Garza. Julissa, we know that he was also a community hero.
Yeah, Jacob, good morning. That is right. You know, from the boxing ring to the Bayou City, George Foreman's legacy lives on in the lives that he touched. And today's memorial service is set to be a reminder that he was more than a champion. He was also a hero in our community. Now, the memorial service is set to begin at 10:45 this morning. The service will include remarks from Mayor John Whitmire, music from the University of Houston Choir, and the Houston Symphony. Now, because of limited space, tickets are needed to attend, and all tickets have been distributed, but folks can watch online if they were not able to get a ticket to attend in person. Foreman was raised in the 5th Ward, and his commitment to Houston has been felt and seen by so many for decades, like the George Foreman Youth and Community Center in Aldine. For nearly 4 decades, it served as a space for local kids just like him.
It's keep kids off the streets and just mainly help a lot of youth around this area. He was a good people person. He's not one of those how can I say, bad person, like, oh, I'm richer than y'all, like, I got my bodyguards. No, like, he would interact with people, like, he would.
Now, that community center was a staple in Aldine. Both of my parents grew up in the Aldine area. My dad worked near that center. He brought it up to me this weekend, and that really just shows how rooted George Foreman was in the community. Now, for today, the Foreman family is asking for donations instead of flowers, and those donations can be made to the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ or the George Foreman Charitable Foundation. Jacob.
Julissa, what an awesome family connection, and thank you for your report. And she mentioned his community involvement, which I've heard him describe as his faith in action. He took that break to be a preacher, and then he came back, as you said.
Yes, he retired for 10 years, and that's really what's probably most impressive, or one of the most impressive things that he did in his career was retire for 10 years, come back, and in 1994, he becomes world champion again, the oldest to ever do it at 45 years old. That's not easy.
45-year-old, two-time. All right, Luis, we'll be back, of course, with much more Devon and Steph. For now, back over to you.